It is said that one day there was a city called the City of Silver. That city was well busy throughout the year and filled with happiness and hopes, until everything changed because of a fierce war that led to risking an entire continent and of course the countries and cities within it. The City of Silver, which was on this continent, was not spared from this matter. The consequences of the war were not only that this continent was completely isolated from the rest of the world, but it was much more worse than anyone could imagine. There was no light that could enter the entire continent after that war, and adding to all of this, the darkness was filled with the forces of hidden entities that led either to madness, committing murder, or one's own disappearance. Everyone on that continent struggled for centuries trying to find a way out. They made artificial lights to protect them from these invisible forces lurking in the darkness, and started eating herbs only in order to survive. And in their eternal struggle with the madness that surrounded them from every side, there were leaders in every century who took the position of leadership to protect each city in their own way, in hopes to find a way to communicate with the outside world one day. But in a century of many centuries, a man ascended the throne of leadership in the City of Silver, and it can be said that he did what he could to save his descendants. This is the story of Colin Iliad, the one who did the impossible just to see the sunlight, which he heard about in legends only. This man had another name, the story of Lord of the Mysteries. The story called him the Seeker of Light. Hello and welcome everyone to my channel. This is my first official video, and well, I hope you don't mind my English since it isn't really my first language. So yeah, this is the first video, may as well be the first series in my channel, and in it, I talk about the stories of different side characters who have influenced me greatly, and I share them with you so that you know their stories that I may not forget ever. Today I come to you with the story of a man who went through all odds, a man who was surrounded by madness from everywhere, a man that saw everyone he loved die by his own hands. But even with all of this happening, this man, no, I should probably call him a legend, persevered just to finally show the city he grew up in a light of hope amidst all the curses and darkness they lived in. This person is called Colin Iliad, or the Seeker of Light. Colin is a person belonging to the Twilight Giant sequence, which depends mostly on a person's own experience of dealing with various dangers through the tools he uses, which means somewhat the sequence depends on one's own physical strength. And the number one thing that can actually be talked about when mentioning people from the sequence is that they are larger than normal humans. Also, I can't forget to mention that really the author of Lord of the Mysteries really adapted a lot of things from his favourite works, as Colin's design and his powers are somewhat similar to that of Geralt from The Witcher. The story of this leader begins in the City of Silver, in which he was born in. Colin had two siblings, an older brother and a younger sister. Colin's life has never been easy. Since his birth, he was born in the City of Silver, which was located in the Forsaken Land of the Gods. The City of Silver is a city that has endured for nearly 2,000 years in the hope that they will find a solution to their current dilemma and find a way out of their current crisis. Unlike all other cities that were disappearing due to the problems of hunger, in the City of Silver there was something special, or let's say an artifact that enabled them to grow a special kind of herb that could grow in complete darkness, and also they could eat it without being exposed to the strange forces that surrounded the entire continent, which made all types of other foods filled with madness. However, there was one thing that caused the greatest pain and suffering, not only to Colin, but to all the people living in the City of Silver. There was a tradition in the city that before a person dies, one of their family members must kill and cleanse them so that they do not turn into a monster. This curse was the source of sadness, so there were only two options in front of you, either to kill those who are close to you with your own hands, or let them turn into crazy monsters, and those monsters will hurt more people. Colin had an older brother, and this older brother was the former commander of the City of Silver's Survey Corps. But while he was out looking for some hope for the depressed City of Silver, he finds someone who called himself Ammon. After the entire squad returned to the city, all the members began to lose control one by one until Colin's brother was the only one remaining. Of course, since it caused confusion, Colin's brother was imprisoned until the city's council knew what was really going on. After nearly 40 years, Colin learned the truth of things, and that his brother, who was always by his side, ended up as an avatar of the king of deceit, Ammon. Getting rid of Ammon from Colin's body was really difficult, but even so, after a while, they finally succeeded. But even so, the life force of Colin's brother was about to vanish, which would let the curse activate and turn him into a monster if he was not killed. Colin had to kill his brother before he was transformed too, and with this, the brothership, which lasted for years, ended at the hands of Colin. In those 40 years, a lot of things happened to Colin, and everyone who was close to him died one by one as a result of the madness that was surrounding them from every side. His younger sister, his mother, his father, his daughter, his grandson, and his oldest and youngest sons. For the more than 100 years that Colin has lived, he has been subjected to all kinds of psychological pain that a person could imagine. Colin was neither a good person nor a bad person, but the only thing that mattered to him was keeping his city as safe as possible. Some of his decisions could be considered good at times, and bad at other times, but when looking at it from a different point of view, each decision was made to let the highest number of people survive. Colin did not take upon himself principles that he deemed as worthless, but rather lived his life as a leader who did not care about anything except the safety of those around him, and also died while risking himself for that glimmer of hope he found after a long struggle. Incident after incident, disaster after disaster, everyone around Colin was dying, while he was gathering experience that would enable him to reach his goal. All of this pain was still not enough for Colin to lose hope. All he wanted was for the suffering and pain to end with his ending. After persisting for so long, the isolated continent finally received a response from an outside source. The source of that response was the Fool, who gave a glimmer of hope to this exhausted leader. The Fool finally gave Colin a chance to leave the isolated continent that was filled with nothing but madness, fear, and depression. After sending German Sparrow on a journey with the Survey Corps that included the strongest members of the whole corps to the core of the King of Giants, there they faced the evil spirit Sasria that was blocking the door, and in that battle, and only to see the sunlight for once in his lifetime, Colin fell trying to stop the movement of the evil spirit, risked himself so that the others would have a chance to win. At the end of his life, even after his swords were destroyed, Colin sat quietly and peacefully, as if he was not about to die. Colin had already stopped breathing, but his determination was the only thing that was keeping him alive in his last moments. When I compare myself with the leaders before me, my death here will be a badge of honor that I will wear for all eternity. Those were the words Colin said as he smiled. Go, open that door. I want to see what the sunlight outside is like. Those were Colin's last words, before the door that isolated the whole continent for more than 2,000 years was opened. Indeed, light gives meaning to everything. The end. And with that, we have come to the end of this video. We shall meet in the next video, whenever that will be. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I hope you all have a great day, and goodbye.